So we are going to hear just 3 popcorn. We ask you to be quick. Think how much information can be conveyed in a 10-second commercial. So here comes the microphones are coming around.
Uh-oh.
Okay, here's the first one.
Okay, so on number 1, we said what method of farm to school is more effective? More effective, long-lasting, and fundable. Is it a non-profit-based enrichment type approach, or is it more of an integrated in the school budget and curriculum approach? And we'd like to evaluate the pros, the cons, and the goals of the 2 different methods. Also, we'd love to see the research results structured in a more of a cascaded form, with the idea that we could see if a single thread versus the different single threads had more or less impact on the overall results. So farm to school is varied a lot program to program, and it's really hard to make judgments as to is one component creating the statistics, or is it a whole series of the components, and which ones are more important? What are the priorities for implementation? So there's 10 seconds that went to 20.
We had two basic things that we focused on the first question. One was more research on the supply side. We had a lot of people who were with Washington Department of Ag and things, and the idea that we also had food service director experience, that food service directors, especially if you have a large urban school district, they need to have a very dependable guaranteed supply. And so for them to make the jump into a program like this, you really have to have distribution. And so more research into the distribution models that work, and innovation in how coming to that sort of answer is important. The other thing that we came up with is more research that shows that it increases school meal participation, because there's the carrot where you have budgetary problems in school districts. They also would love to have that carrot to push them towards this innovation.
We had 3 topics. One was what you just said, financial feasibility, and the relationship of farm to school to participation rates, if any. One was a whole raft of questions around farmers and how does this work for farmers, and does it work for farmers, and farm to institution in general and distribution. This is just kind of a best practices question, what works or what has worked around the country. And the third topic was generally around issues relating to food service directors and cafeteria staff as gatekeepers. How do you get buy-in?
We would like to see an economic impact on the local and regional food system that addresses going off the commodity system and on an off-the-grid model, leveraging Department of Defense dollars even to a 10% local procurement, and the impact on local or regional economic benefits, and a health type footprint, like a carbon footprint of an analysis of an upstream project.
So on question 2, which I kind of weave into question 1, is that, am I sneaky? Basically, we also see as an incredible audience that we need to pay attention to is the Department of Education people that distribute the federal funds to the school systems, because there's so much public awareness of how complicated and this system is in being able to bring those federal dollars to the schools. And how they share their information goes to the food service people on how they perceive they can work the system within the school system. So I think a lot of research needs to be happening at that Department of Education, and Heidi is our person here in Oregon, but bringing those people together with us and in the next forum to educate us on the possibilities of changing the system at the federal level. So.
Can we do number 1? Okay. Okay, our first is, and we prioritize these. The first is research and evaluation of effective programs to have impact at home with families. Second is what evidence is there of culturally appropriate farm-to-school programs. And the third is we have a great opportunity right now with some state-level policies to evaluate the implementation of those state policies. For number 2, we outline universities, colleges, lots of agriculture, diverse cultural communities, funders and foundations, and lots of family farms.
We're going to take this information and go 2 places with it. One is the National Farm-to-School meeting that we're having in a couple of weeks in Philly, but then also, as was mentioned, in March is the National cafeteria conference, yay, here in Portland, but that we are going to create a research and evaluation track, and hopefully, and this is going to fuel, hopefully, a lot of those discussions as well, is the idea. So you've come up with some really great, like what other evaluation research should we be doing, but how, as a region, back to John's question, how do we support or think about ways to support our work in this area? I'm going to ask you. Jen.
I think one of the things that our group talked about in question one, not to slip our question one in there, was how do we take the existing data and present it in a way that you can utilize easily. So many people, there's so many great websites out there, and you can get lost in them, but how do we bring it together so that we can present it easily, and what is the data we need for policy change?
Yeah, and that's kind of a regional issue too.
Right, I mean, I feel like that information is regional, it's not just.
Any other ideas about acting like a region? How do we as a region make this work?
John.
Well, I don't know if it's already happened, but having documented best practices within the folks out in this room, everybody say this is our stellar food service person, this is our great farmer, local farmer sourcing model, and just documenting those. I mean, that's one thing we can do as regions.
You guys all heard that.
The documenting best practices, yeah.
I agree with that. Just having these connections that a lot of us can stay in touch and share these ideas rather than each of us make trees. We get together and share the research and share these ideas and share our techniques and our best practices, and we'll be so much further ahead than being a couple of people trying to do this on your own.
But we have to define what the best practices are we're looking for first, I think, and then it would be easy for us to feed into that.
Yeah, maybe a list of mistakes.
Maybe
People didn't hear it was and a list of mistakes.
a list of mistakes.
Or lessons learned, right?
We were suggesting that there are several research organizations and institutions here, and it'd be great if there were a coordinated regional effort rather than individual projects that are maybe crossing over one another, or if there was great coordination and a plan of what research has to happen and divided up between the different universities and so on.
Wonderful.
But I thought you'd said states, a list of states, but what it made me think of was that, there are a number of projects that I didn't even know about before coming here or before, planning to come here. And if we could have some kind of even updated database about what's going on, the states and what's going on in each state would help, I think. There is one already.
I actually stepped out for just a second, so I apologize if this already happened. But I think part of the coordinated work plan would be coordinated fundraising for research, because finding the time and the staff and the money to do this research could use a lot of help. And I think also then we would have, in these states, it's working these ways all in one study, which could be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an excellent idea.
And I want to add in regards to the coordinated list of what's happening in each state. We do have the Farm to School national website, which is farmtoschool.org, and we do have a state profile available listing the programs and contact people. And just for a quick plug, to follow on John's idea, it would be fantastic if everyone who nodded their head after what he said, if you could just email me one or two spokespersons within your programs, within your regions. I am happy to put together a coordinated list of farmers, food service directors, farm to school advocates, practitioners, you name it, and I'll collect it and I'll have it available for you at any point in time. Just send me what you have, and it's fantastic for press. My phone number is 419-753-3412, and my email is deschmeyer@oxy.edu, and you can also find everything on farmtoschool.org.
Great, and we will close on that.
Yeah. Wow.